see. Hey guys, Tori CTX here. So I've been reading on a lot of forums and within my own on my own system. I've been seeing that Horizon Forbidden West is having a bit of a stutter issue. Not so much in the first cutscene, but when you get to the first area where you can play, when you pan your camera left and right, especially on controller, you notice that there would be skipping in the game while doing that. So I've been reading up on a bunch of stuff, and I wanted to try a couple things to see if we can mitigate that. The first big one that a lot of people will probably overlook is the Steam input on the game. If you hit use default settings for the PS5 controller, actually, yeah, the PS5 controller and the Xbox were having issues. So just make sure you don't have it enabled by globally in your controller settings. But I'm gonna disable Steam input by force, just to be sure that it's not gonna activate. Another issue that I was having before, but I already changed it, was I had my E cores on top of the hotfix today, by the way. But I had my E cores on my system, and I was wondering if that might have been slowing down some shader compilation, and giving me that micro stutter every time I start panning the camera. Maybe it was offloading too much stuff to the P cores. I have a 14700K, so right now I have everything all fixed. If I open my Nvidia settings and you check. I'm on the latest game driver, and I did change a couple things. Actually, I usually keep this on, but I'm going to leave it off for the time being. But low latency mode, I have it off. I capped my frame rate. I have a 165 hertz display. Now, the rule of thumb is whenever you're using, let's say you're using low latency mode ultra, it would cap it to 158 anyway. It's just better to do it by force. So just in case, sometimes low latency mode ultra doesn't affect certain titles in weird instances. So I just cap it myself, because a lot of times what happens is when you hit the 165 FPS cap or screen refresh rate equivalent, a lot of times VSync will kick back in and cause stutters again within your games. So, I have it that way. I have my G-Sync indicator on, so you'll be able to tell. Prefer maximum performance just to make sure there's no downclocking. But very important, especially if you use G-Sync, vertical sync must be on in your Nvidia control panel. It has to be on, especially if you want to use frame generation. Otherwise, you're going to get all types of stutter. Maybe in another video, I will do that and show you the type of stutter that it causes on the frame time graph when you are playing Spider-Man Miles Morales, for instance. And there's a couple other titles. I'm not going to quote one right now because I did forget which title it was, because I do test a lot of games. But a big one, this should be on, while low latency mode generally they recommend you put ultra. But again, I'm just doing this for this video just to test a couple things. If you have Nvidia Reflex, it overrides low latency mode, and this game has Nvidia Reflex, but I want the ability to test it and compare it while turning it off. So this is what we're gonna rock with. And just to make sure, I'm not sure if Horizon showed up here. It may not have, but that's okay. It's gonna abide by my global settings, and we'll go from there. So if I boot up the game, we could test it out. Again, Steam input off. I'm using the controller wired. I can use the PS5 one, but right now I'm gonna just use the Xbox one, just because I feel like this is what most people would have. But yeah, let's test this. There we go. As you see in the top right of my screen, I have the G-Sync indicator, so you know it's working, and my frame cap is being met by the 158. I'm gonna leave this off, all of this off. I'm gonna do DLSS quality. I feel like most people want to play at DLSS quality unless you feel like playing native at a lower frame rate. I'll take the quality mode, and then stock very high settings all the way down the board. I turned motion blur off, just so maybe we could get some you know, a better feel or visual is if we have skipping or not. So let's start new. We'll start with the cutscene. Again, I see my shader comp was maxing out my CPU. Again, remember, I have the E-cores turned off. I tried scheduling them. I tried dedicating P-cores only using Process Lasso. But it didn't work as well as it actually made performance worse, and I rebooted the game. So this time, I have them disabled completely. I'm just running an 8-core, 16-thread, 14700K, running at 5.5 gigahertz. Slightly undervolted, just for temps. So let's see where this goes.
I'm running out of time.
So far, I think there's, if you look at the frame time graph, every time it probably changes a scene, there's a little something. That's expected, that's fine. And I didn't even see that one happen, as you say. But when we get to gameplay, that's where the real issue is. To me, this looks buttery smooth.
All because of a terraforming system that's spiraling out of control. And only
I'm actually doing this as my first recording. I haven't recorded using OBS before. I'm recording in the AV1 format. Let's see how well it does. I'd imagine it's taking some part in my frame rate right now. If I were to check,
the AIU designed to control the system.
It's not doing anything crazy.
But every time I think I have a lead, it comes to nothing. And every night, I have the same dream.
Let's skip to some gameplay here. Yeah, this AV1 recording is actually pretty taxing on the system. Because I definitely can average a higher FPS normally here. I'm not gonna lie, but we'll still see if we have that issue. Again, if I recheck my settings, I have DLSS on quality and everything else. Oh, yeah, everything else is off. But now when I pan, everything looks good. Everything looks good. Maybe I should try a DLSS balanced. Just because I'm recording and I'm taking a pretty decent sized hit. I don't know if it's gonna change much. But it looks pretty good. So far so good. That frame time graph is pretty flat. Now let's see what happens when I activate low latency mode. I've been put on plus boost. It's acting a little different. Let's try just on. Let's try just on. Just, you know, maybe we don't need the boost. Looks a little shaky on that frame time graph now.
Bitter?
No.
Looks a little shaky. Now let me go back to off.
All right, we should keep going.
Much better. That is significantly, substantially better, actually.
Yeah, good idea.
It's so much flatter than it was before.
Some of the blight is... it's peeling.
And I think there's an issue, a borked issue with that reflex mode. And I don't know if Nvidia was rushing to it
Those ruins.
or what, but whatever it was doing, it wasn't helping.
We can use the line to slide down.
What are we at?
Again, I can also slide down, or sorry, not slide down. I can also activate frame generation. Let's see how flat this turns.
Well, it's an AI. It's explain. Think of it like
Pretty
a set
smooth.
of instructions that can fix the world.
Pretty smooth.
Sounds complicated.
It didn't give me that much of a boost,
Notice you're traveling light.
actually, compared to before. And it does force reflex to be on.
Yeah.
And again, with reflex on, I have these stutters.
Lost a lot of my gear.
That frame time graph is pretty ugly. And when I go back and I turn it to off, it's gone. It's fixed. So I believe that's the real problem here, and a big fix to fixing your experience. And since AMD was running well and AMD doesn't have low latency, the reflex mode, I'm gonna assume that that would be the only differentiating factor. Obviously, besides drivers and whatnot,
It's peeling
but in
off.
the feature set.
Dead skin. Is that how it spreads?
So, again, this is pretty good. Maybe next time I record, I won't record in AV1, and I'll make it a reasonable quality, not something elite, because this file might be about 20 gigs.
Salvaging machine carcasses as usual.
But this is great.